Welcome to Emmyspeaks, where inspiration meets entertainment. We are here to share stories of hope, resilience, and unwavering pursuit of purpose. Are you ready? Subscribe to this channel and join us on this journey of transformation. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Emmyspeaks, and I am Emmy. To all my returning viewers, thank you so much. I feel your love and I'm grateful. If you're a first timer, welcome. By the way, feel at home, but please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so every week when I post a new content, you will be notified. So, last week we explored the beauty of transformation, where we were able to just learn from the true example of Jesus that sometimes endings could lead to beautiful new beginnings. We saw that Jesus died, he rose again, and that was the birth of this beautiful life that we are all enjoying. But one of the things that the Bible mentioned that really caught my attention is the fact that when he appeared to his disciples, the way in which he convinced them that truly it is he, Jesus, that walked with them and died, and now he's risen. He showed them the scars. I'm thinking to myself, when he resurrected, he was in his glorified body. Why did the scars not just melt away? I thought about it, and that's why today I'm here to talk to us about from broken to blossoming. How do you live from a place where you are broken because of life's challenges to this other place where you truly blossom? I am of the opinion that the only way you can truly blossom after a challenge is if you are blossoming in wholeness. And when I talk about wholeness, I'm talking about attending to the wounds that the fight left you and not just walking past as though nothing happened. Imagine going to a battlefield, right? You're going to fight war. During the war, you were beaten, gunshots all over your body, but you didn't die. It's a good thing that you didn't die in the course of the war, right? But then, if you don't attend to the wounds that came as a result of the fight, of the gunshots, eventually you are going to die. And then you begin to ask yourself, what was the whole point of fighting so hard to come out of the battlefield alive if you're just going to die eventually? So the question is, what do we do with this brokenness? Because whether we believe it or not, whether we accept it or not, one way or another, our challenges leaves us broken. Our challenges leaves us wounded. But then, what do you do with these wounds? What do you do with this brokenness? Do you just walk past as though nothing ever happened? Or do you pay attention to it? I know it's commonly said that time heals all wounds, but I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer. Like, are you? Are you a believer? Because how can time heal wounds? Except time has some magical powers that I'm not aware of, then no, I'm not a believer. I know that time is a factor when it comes to wounds being healed, but it's not the only factor. Wounds need medication, wounds need attending to, wounds need dressing, and then wounds need time. So if you're attending to your wounds, you're dressing, you're medicating with time, it's going to heal. It is important to pay attention to the emotional, the physical, and even the spiritual wounds that our battles leave us. Because if we don't, we are going to express them in several different forms, and those forms are not going to be pretty. In the last video, we talked about if you don't let the death of a season conquer you, you can rise again to become resilient. You can rise again to become confident. You can rise again to be strong. But if you also do not pay attention to healing the wounds that the process left you, you would rise again, all right? But then you rise again to be a bitter, resilient person. You rise again to be a hateful, confident person. And honestly, the world doesn't need all of that. I shared with you all a story of how I lost my voice, found it, lost it again, found it. It was a lost and found situation. But yeah, in the course of that story, I mentioned that there was a season where I was just bitter, where I was shut down. My voice was dead. For a period of 7 years, I did nothing with my voice because, of course, it was receiving hateful words and all of that. And after that period, I went into this other phase where I was putting my voice out there, but then I was bitter and angry, even hateful, because I said during that time, if you say something about my voice, I'm just coming for you. I'm coming for you. And there's just this bitterness. I just felt like I couldn't control myself when somebody said hateful things about my voice. So I was wounded during the times when people were saying so many bitter things about my voice, but I didn't realize it. And the minute I gained confidence and started using my voice, I did not pay attention to those wounds. As a result, I was confident, but then I was bitter. Mhm. That's why I had to shut myself down for all the years that I did before I found God, found purpose, and all of that. I'll put a link to that video on the description box of this one so that you can go and listen. I'm not talking about that story again. I already took the time to talk about it. But then I'm saying that if you don't pay attention to these wounds, you might just come out to be a resilient but bitter and hateful and sorrowful and sad person. Because those are the ways in which these emotions manifest themselves if you don't pay attention to the wounds to heal them. So the question now is, how do you pay attention to these wounds? So I'm going to share with you a few things I do in order to help myself. Every time I realize that I've been wounded from a bad situation, if I experience a bad season and I realize that it left me with some wounds, there are things that I do now which I did not used to do before, but I've learned over time. And so I pay attention to it a lot. So the first thing I do is I embrace forgiveness. I find this to be really hard. Jesus said that we should forgive 77 times 7. And I was wondering why he asked us to forgive so many times like that. But I think that slowly I'm beginning to understand why it is required of us to really forgive. And forgiveness is a command because it's not easy. Before now, I thought that forgiveness would look like, Emmy, sorry, I said this awful thing about your voice. I'm really sorry. I apologize. Please forgive me. And I'll be like, oh, yes, I forgive you. Go in peace and serve the Lord. That's not what it looks like. Forgiveness looks like forgiving people who don't even acknowledge that what they did was wrong. Because forgiveness is for you. I had this bad experience a while back. I was hurt by a loved one, and I went to a counselor. The counselor told me I needed to forgive. I'm like, he hasn't even asked for forgiveness. How will I now come and forgive somebody who has not even told me that he's sorry? As in, he has not apologized. And even when I expressed to him how what he did made me feel, he still did not say he was sorry. All he did was justify, get excuses, turned around, and now I am supposed to forgive. I'm like, no, let's wait. Let him recognize what he has done. Then we'll forgive. She's like, sweetie, you're the person who is becoming this bitter. You're the one who is turning into this big bowl of bitterness. Embrace forgiveness because forgiveness is for you. For you first, not for the person. It's for you. Secondly, you need to forgive yourself. That one was hard. I realized that I really needed to forgive myself a lot. Like, I put so many unrealistic expectations on me. And when I was unable to meet those expectations, I became angry at the world, at myself. Just imagine telling yourself that by the age of 30, you want to own a private jet. Not saying that is unattainable, but just unrealistic. And growing up, we put so many unrealistic expectations. By the age of 30, I want to be married. I have 3 children. I want to have this job. I want to be driving this car. I want to build my house. Dear, only that 30. Only that you. Like, seriously. And now by that age of 30, I've not done any of these things. You start feeling low. You start feeling defeated. You need to forgive yourself. You need to forgive yourself for making mistakes. Sometimes we hold ourselves accountable a lot. We blame ourselves a lot. In life, we are going to make mistakes, and sometimes it's okay to make mistakes. So you need to forgive yourself for making mistakes. You need to forgive yourself for making bad choices. You need to forgive yourself for making bad decisions. You cannot blame yourself forever. That is how you gain freedom. So yes, I embrace forgiveness. The second thing I do is I appreciate support. Yes. I find that talking about my challenges brings freedom for me. I know that we protect some of these things that happen to us in the name of my privacy. But let me tell you something that I discovered there. When you're not talking about that challenge, you're pampering it, you're protecting it. And then in that space of protecting it, it can overpower you. I have a pastor who is always saying that monsters only thrive in the dark. When you're keeping that challenge so close to your chest, it's like it is mine. I cannot share. We say we are being private, though. But this is what we are doing. We are protecting and preserving it. And as we are keeping it, it's just growing. It's growing. And sooner or later, we realize that it is overpowering us. But when we begin to share, this is how I approach it. When I share my challenges, it's a way of me saying that, you know what? You're not that special. Challenges happen every now and then. Why would I now come and treat you as though you're the best thing that's ever happened to me? No, I beg, you're not that special, you're not that peculiar. So I'll talk about you. I will expose you because you happened, you hurt me, but I'll talk about you and I'll gain freedom. So for me, when I talk about my challenges, it's me losing its grip over me. It's telling it that you cannot overpower me. You're not bigger than me. I'm bigger than you. So I get to talk about you. And of course, you're not just talking to anyone. You have to make sure that you're sharing in a safe space. I talk to mentors. I talk to coaches. I talk to my friends. I talk to anybody that I consider safe at the moment. But one way or another, I'm making sure that I'm talking about it. Another thing I do, which I love so much, is I practice self-care and I find healthy outlets for my emotions. Self-care is good. So I prioritize activities that nourish my body, my mind, my soul, my spirit. And I do a lot of journaling now. I also do a lot of exercising. I do a lot of art in the form of singing, in the form of dancing. I have this friend who says that whenever he comes back home, what he does, he closes his door and then he plays hot gospel praise. He's not so much of a dancer, but he says that when he plays that praise, now he would dance and dance. I've told him that, please, I want to see you dance. I really want to see you dance. But then that's a means of self-care. He's just practicing a healthy way to express his emotions. And even though I laughed at him when he said that, I tried it out and it was really interesting. Sometimes when I'm just stressed and all, when I'm just heavy, I come back home and I didn't have such a good day. Maybe something bad happened that took me off balance. I put hot gospel praise, and sometimes I'm not just dancing to it, I'm doing like cardio exercises to the hot gospel praise, and I find that it's really so helpful. At the end of the day, I take a cold bath and whoa, I sleep like a baby. So those are some of the things that I do in order to make sure that I'm not ignoring the wound that some of these challenges leave me. I'm paying attention to heal them so I can blossom in wholeness. I'd like for you to also share and let me know some of the things you do to help yourself when you realize that you're probably having a bad day or you have these emotions that you just cannot explain. What do you do with them? Do you spill on people? Do you just go about being angry? I'm a mom, so if I'm not paying attention to these emotions, the next thing is I'm taking it out on my kids. I don't want to be that kind of a mom that is just coming into the house and you're just shouting, come here, clean this thing, arrange this house, do this. God forbid, I don't want to be that kind of mom. Remember that in as much as we're talking about paying attention to your brokenness is not the end of your story. It's just a part of your journey, a testament of your resilience. So allow your scars to be a reminder of your triumph. But if you don't get your wounds healed, you're not going to have scars which you can use to tell your beautiful story. So focus on healing your wounds in a way that causes you to blossom beautifully. Okay, so that is what I have for us today. Please share your experiences with me in the comment section down below. Have you ever felt broken after a transformation? What did you do to heal? How did you find the strength to heal? Please share your experiences so together we can learn from each other. And also don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so every time when I post a new content, you will be notified. Thank you for joining me today, and remember that even when you are broken, you are still worthy of healing and love. Yes, you can heal. With time and with the right process, you will definitely heal, and your scars will be a beautiful reminder of how you overcame. I'll see you on my next video. In the meantime, stay strong, stay calm, stay inspired. And remember, this is Emmy. When Emmy speaks, she speaks to the world. Are you listening? Bye.